Welcome to Unshielded, the podcast where we explore the cutting edge of blockchain, data protection, and the technologies shaping the future of decentralized systems. Today, we're joined by Bjarne from Techpool, an experienced Cardano stake pool operator that's recently onboarded as a block producer for Midnight. We'll dive into the journey setting up on Midnight, how it compares to running a Cardano stake pool, and even walk through a live demo on how to get started as a Midnight block producer. Bjarne, welcome to Unshielded. How are you doing today, my friend?
Thank you, Anthony. No, I'm doing great. Really, it's fun to be here, and it's also been fun to play around with the new Midnight node.
Love to hear that. Coming to us live from Norway, from Trondheim. So thank you so much for dialing in from the dark and the cold. Appreciate you being with us. To start with, for those people who are less familiar with the important work that block producers or stake pool operators on Cardano do, can you give us a brief introduction to what it is you do at Techpool?
Well, so I'm the SPO of Techpool. So, that includes the server maintenance, includes keeping all the software up to date, but also being there for the delegators. So I run a Discord channel where some of my delegators are asking all kinds of questions. And I also try to develop some tooling that I just think is fun to develop. For example, I've done Jet Radar. It's an X-bot that tweets when there's minting and burning of Jet or Shen. I also recently released cglobe.io, which is an interactive globe that shows how decentralized Cardano is, along with other tooling, Discord bots, and also a wallet history tracker.
Fantastic. So not just watching the blocks come in and watching the stake move here and there, actually getting involved in developing some tooling as well. Really interested to hear that. And thank you for the work you're doing for the community. Could you walk us through your experience of onboarding as a block producer onto Midnight? How has that been for you?
Well, it's been quite of a journey, and also a bit random. I was actually recommended to the Midnight team by one of my delegators. So that was the reason why I was one of the first. I believe I was the first Cardano SPO on board on this program. So it started with me having a meeting with the CTO, which was quite exciting. I had to sign an NDA, which I never done before. And after that, stuff started to open up. After I managed to register the node, they opened up for everyone else. But it is completely different. You have to remember, Midnight is still a testnet, and it's early testnet. So the documentation is not that clear at times, and that's also the reason why they're onboarding the SPOs to iron out the documentation and see what works and doesn't work.
It's all part of the journey, and thank you for being part of it. I think, again, in the long term, the idea of having a white glove onboarding experience for anything in Web3 is probably not desirable. But as you're going through the evolutions, as you're going through the early stages of technology, I think that's important. So thank you for helping us to pioneer, and thank you for your feedback along the way. How does block producing on Midnight compare to your experience as a stake pool operator on Cardano?
I think the main thing might be the relays. Currently, on Cardano, you have the block producer, and it's protected by the relays. They're usually a VPS service or something similar. In Midnight, there's no VPS yet. Relays. Maybe they will introduce in the future. I don't know. Also, the difference is, you kind of have to run a Cardano node and be a stake operator on Cardano from the get-go. But it also requires a lot of infrastructure around, a lot of software like DB Sync, Kupo, and Ogmios. And DB Sync especially something that's quite resource hungry. So that also makes a difference. And also like the lack of tooling, but that's expected now in the start. For example, in Cardano, I can run a simple command to find out how many blocks I'm assigned the next epoch. But in Midnight, it's unknown. But I guess that's something that will be introduced soon.
For sure. It's still early days, and a lot of that tooling, some of the early engagement with SPOs might lead us down that road. So excited for any of your suggestions and ideas on what could prove useful. Obviously, with Midnight, some things do remain shielded, and that's a necessity. That's part of the design. But certainly there's going to be more tooling, more documentation, more quality coming down the road. Are there any significant infrastructure or operational requirements that are different for you, other than you mentioned DB-Sync and some of the other software? Are there any other significant requirements or infrastructure requirements that are different to run a Midnight node?
Well, I kind of touched on this on the previous topic, but I would say the most significant part there is the resources. Running a Cardano node, that's, well, to be concrete, it requires 2 CPU cores and 24 gigabytes of RAM. While Midnight requires this because you need to run the Cardano node, plus the requirements for DB-Sync, that's another 16 gigabytes if it's on mainnet. And the node itself is also another 16 gigabytes. So we're talking at least the double amount of memory. And then you have CPU cores on top of that. So yeah, it's significantly more. But then again, it is a testnet. I'm pretty sure in the future they will be able to, you'll be able to run the Midnight node with less infrastructure around and also making it less resource hungry.
Got you. Absolutely. You would hope so. One unique aspect of TechPool and the work that you do is focus on decentralization by avoiding major VPS providers like AWS or DigitalOcean. How important is that principle when you're thinking about running as a Midnight block producer?
Well, my ethos about blockchain is that if it isn't decentralized, then what's the point, right? And that's why I love Cardano, because it's through the core decentralized. And I will definitely use this when I set up my Midnight node on mainnet, is focusing on choosing VPS services. If I need one, I might also run it locally. But if I choose a VPS service, it's definitely going to be a Norwegian one, like I do with the Cardano.
Got you. Sticking to the true ethos of Web3. And again, I think it's important, depending on which stake pool or which block producer or what their ethos is, to make sure that you've got the flexibility to be able to do that. You know, I agree with you. Not everything should run on AWS all of the time. That's not really setting us up for sensor resistant, downtime resistant, subpoena resistant, decentralized infrastructure. So I can definitely agree with you on that one. As is tradition around here, for those who've watched enough Unshielded shows, we love showing our audience a hands-on walkthrough or a demo. And we're going to do that today for block production on Midnight. So could you take us through a step-by-step demo? Maybe not all the steps, but the steps that you think are important for setting up block production on Midnight, so other SPOs and other block producers out there can get a feel for what it takes.
Yeah, sure. All right. So the first to do is go to docs at midnightnode.network. So on the left side here, you just click on Become a Validator. So I've chosen to not do this entire here. This could take too long time. But we can start explaining though what it takes. So obviously you need to start a stake pool on the Cardano preview network. And there's a bunch of guides for doing that, including there's some links on this side, this page, showing how you do that. Well, next step is to setting up the other dependencies like the DB-Sync, Kupo, and Ogmios. And the Midnight team has actually made it real easy to set up. It's basically just copy pasting these codes and paste them into the terminal, and it should basically just work right off the box. One important part here is once you've done this, you could basically go and take a cup of coffee or 10, because it will take a while to sync up the DB-Sync, Kupos, Ogmios, and the Cardano node. So I was thinking that today we will just start with registering the Midnight node. So like step 2, it's also a bunch of copy paste there. They made it real easy. So here I made myself a folder called Midnight. I take and copy this code. Bang. Just click enter. Now to download the necessary files to register the partner node. And here it asks me if I want to replace this I click yes, and bang. There we go. Once we're in here, we can make sure that the executable, which is this file, partner chains CLI, actually is compatible with my operating system. And since I don't get any like segmentation faults or anything, it means this means that it's working and everything is okay. Next, we need to generate this config JSON file. You could just copy paste this or do it the lazy way, going in here, copy this and paste it into a terminal, bang. And we can double check that it is working. CLI chain config, yeah. And there we go. This should be identical. So the next step is to generate the keys necessary. So these keys are used to sign the blocks and also used to register the midnight node on the partner chain CLI. So I just copy paste this command right there into a terminal, and here it asks me where I want to store it, and its suggestion is to make a new folder here called data, and that's fine. And there we go. Now we have a data folder here containing all the keys. There are also suggestion that you copy the code to another folder. I think it's because it's similar to the structure inside the Docker container for the midnight node. So I will just do that here as well. So now when we go into the data folders and chains, we have also now made a testnet folder where also the keys are. So now we will start to register the node. First, it says here that you need to copy your payment key, the secret payment key, and the public payment key, and also the cold key from the preview stake pool. And you have to have it accessible. Now I already put my keys in the keys folder here. So we should be fine. So yeah, now we just invoke the first step of registering. Copy this here, partner chains, register 1. And there is no such, yeah, because I missed the dot right there. So now it's asked me the path to the Cardano CLI executable. This should be available just as it is like this. So I will just click enter. And now I also forgot a thing. I need to connect to the node. So I'll just do that. This is not a part of the tutorial. This is just some of my setup because I'm not running the Cardano node on this machine. So now I will tell it the absolute path to the node.socket file. Right, and mine is just sockets. Click enter here, and then it asked for a path for the payment verification key. Preferably without typos. Keys and payment dot key. And so what it did now is it is querying my wallet and finding a UTXO with enough funds to pay for a transaction. And here it only shows one. If it were multiple, I can use the arrows to move up and down to select one. But since I only have one, I can just click enter. So what it's done now is that it has generated the next step of the command. So I would just copy this and paste it back in again and click enter. And now it's asking for a path of the code key, and this is also the same place as the payment verification key. And also now remember to type in the absolute path here. Looks good. Yes, and step 3. Do the same, copy paste, click enter, and now it asks for the payment secret key. Oopsie. There is a there we go. Yeah. Okay. So now it's asking us for the communication interface for Qpol, and Qpol was one of the dependencies that they are going to ask you to set up in step 2. So this entire tutorial is explaining how to set up everything on one machine. I'm currently sitting on a laptop, and I don't like to run either the Midnight Node or anything else on a laptop. It should belong on a server. So I actually set up this on my server on a local area network that I'm sitting on now. So in my case, this would also be in your case, usually you select the HTTP protocol, but now it asks the IP address. So if you follow this tutorial, you should just click enter here. But for me, it's actually going to be the server of the IP of my server. And the port is the default 1442, which is, if you don't configure it to be anything else, it's going to be 1442. So it's same with Ogmios. This is also running on my external server and port there. And I actually expect this to fail. So the error says that it could not be submitted because the block producer with the given keys is already registered. And this is true. For this demo, I didn't set up a new Cardano stake pool on preview. So I kind of expected this to fail, but it doesn't really matter for this example. So I guess we can just pretend that everything was okay here. If it was okay, it wouldn't give a invalid CLI params error or any error at all, actually. So we jump over here, and now we can, let's see, I need to go. Yeah, verify that we actually registered on the partner chain. So we just go in here, and we will copy this. So this would actually just query the slot and epoch of both the main chain. The main chain here is preview, so this is a Cardano preview, and this is midnight. So this is the epoch. And here it says, in order to verify, we need to copy this and this right here. And this number should be the current epoch plus 2. So I will just go ahead and do that. We are now in 840, so this should be 842. And what we do here is we're getting a lot of, so there's a lot of people validating on the midnight testnet. So it's kind of hard to find your pool here, but what you can do is that we have also generated this public chain's public keys. So if I look at this, I have a signed chain public key, so I can do is copy this and then go up to the previous command. We can search for this public key in all this data. And there we go. I think maybe I need some more lines under here to also see that it was a successful register. There we go. So this is my pool, and this is successfully registered because it said here is valid equals true. And also here it shows the current stake delegation on Cardano preview. So this was a success after all.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bjarne. A really interesting demo, very detailed, very specific, and hopefully a nice walkthrough for other SPOs or block producers out there who are interested in learning more about Midnight. I want to, as you went through that process, or as you went through it the first time for yourself and for other people listening in, what are some of the watch-outs, or what maybe were some of the mistakes or errors that you found out the first time around that you might want to warn people against or give people a heads up?
I think the first step is make sure both DB Sync, Ogmios, and Coupa are fully synced before you try to register the node. Because these 3 steps we do for registering is they really need to be have access to all these 3 when they are fully synced. And the error message you get doesn't really make sense that this is like the error. The next is use fast storage devices. For example, if you use a mechanical hard drive, it's going to take very long time to sync. But if you use SSDs or similar, it's going to go faster.
Some helpful guidance. Bjarne, thank you so much. Maybe looking forward, what are you most interested in, or what excites you about continuing to be a block producer on Midnight? What are some of the things you're looking forward to, or maybe some of the things you expect to see in the next few months?
You know, I really enjoy server maintenance. I have too many servers on my hand, but I really love the maintenance of it. And also, I'm quite passionate about the Cardano community and also deliver new services to my delegators in order to grow the tech community. So Midnight is definitely going to help me do that. But I also think when Midnight is released, it's also going to be a tech pool Midnight side. So you will have like the tech pool Cardano side, tech pool Midnight side, and you will have things in between. And I think it's going to be beautiful.
Well, beautiful is certainly what we aim for. That wraps up our conversation with Bjarne from TechPool, where we've explored the world of stake pool operators, onboarded as a block producer on Midnight, and seen a very detailed step-by-step demo. If you found this episode valuable, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to follow us on social media for more discussions on blockchain, decentralization, and data privacy. Unshielded is brought to you by Midnight. To find out more about how the Midnight Network is helping everyone to build a more equitable and accessible internet, visit our website at midnight.network. And remember to search Unshielded on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode.